Hi guys, and welcome on Cheaters and Jerks. This channel is about real-life cheating stories and consequences.
I stood by the grill, spatula in hand, feeling like the king of my domain. The McAllister family ranch sprawled out before me, a picturesque backdrop to our annual summer BBQ. The air was thick with the smell of sizzling ribs and the sound of laughter. I couldn't help but grin as I flipped another burger, watching it sear to perfection. "Who wants the next perfectly grilled masterpiece?" I called out, waving the spatula dramatically. My cousin Tom approached, beer in hand. "I'll take that actions, chef. Your burgers are always top-notch." I slid the patty onto a bun and handed it over with a theatrical bow. "One Adam's special, coming right up. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review on Yelp." As Tom wandered off, chuckling, I scanned the crowd. Friends and family were scattered across the backyard, sipping lemonade and swapping stories. My eyes landed on Jessica, my wife, who was flitting between tables like a social butterfly on steroids. Her laugh carried across the yard, a touch too loud, as she batted her eyelashes at practically everyone in sight. I shook my head, smirking. Classic Jessica, always needing to be the center of attention. Don't get me wrong, I love her, but sometimes her need for validation is exhausting. "Hey Jess," I called out as she passed nearby. "You trying to win Hostess of the Year or something? I think you missed a table over there." She shot me a playful glare, but there was something off about it. Her movement seemed jittery, almost manic, like she was a live wire about to snap. "Very funny, Adam," she retorted, tossing her hair. "Someone's got to make sure everyone's having a good time. Lord knows you just feed them and expect that to be enough." I raised an eyebrow. "Hey, my burgers are a religious experience. That's all the entertainment anyone needs." Jessica rolled her eyes and moved on to the next group, leaving me to wonder if she'd had one too many margaritas. I shrugged it off and turned back to my grill, determined to create the perfect char on my next batch of patties. A few minutes later, my cousin Mike sauntered up, a weird smirk playing on his lips. Something about his expression set off alarm bells in my head. "Hey man," he said, trying and failing to sound casual. "Did you notice Jessica sneaking off with her brother Kyle?" I barked out a laugh, more out of reflex than actual amusement. "Kyle? The human plank of wood? Yeah, right. Maybe she's teaching him how to use utensils or something." But Mike didn't laugh along. Instead, he gave a pointed look towards the garage. I felt a prickle of curiosity, but I tamped it down. This was ridiculous. "Whatever, man," I muttered, focusing intently on the grill. "Jessica's always dramatic, but sneaking off with her brother? That's a bit much, even for her." Mike shrugged and wandered off, leaving me with an uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach. I tried to shake it off, concentrating on the task at hand. The sizzle of the grill and the chatter of the party around me helped drown out the nagging doubts. Time passed, and soon it was time for the traditional family BBQ toast. I wiped my hands on my Kiss the Cook apron and looked around for Jessica. She was usually front and center for these things, soaking up the attention. But as I scanned the crowd, I realized she was nowhere to be seen. A flicker of irritation sparked inside me. "All right, everyone," I called out, raising my beer. "Gather around for the traditional McAllister toast." As people started to congregate, I noticed more than a few confused looks and whispers. The absence of both Jessica and Kyle was becoming painfully obvious. I cleared my throat, trying to mask my growing annoyance with humor. "Looks like the queen of the BBQ has abdicated her throne," I joked, earning a few chuckles. Maybe she finally realized my grilling skills outshine her hosting. But the laughter felt forced, and I could see the concern in my mother's eyes as she gave me a pointed look. I waved her off, determined to keep things light. "Anyway," I continued, raising my voice to cut through the murmurs, "here's to family, friends, and food that doesn't fight back. Cheers." The crowd echoed my toast, but there was an undercurrent of tension that hadn't been there before. As people dispersed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. My cousin Tom sidled up next to me, beer in hand. "How's it going, Adam? Burger's looking good." I forced a chuckle. "Yeah, nothing like char-grilled cow to bring the family together, right?" Tom snorted, nearly choking on his beer. As he recovered, I noticed Mike approaching with a serious expression. He leaned in close, his voice low. "Hey, Adam, don't want to cause any drama, but I saw Jessica and Kyle sneaking off earlier. Thought you should know." My grip tightened on the spatula. "Thanks, Mike. I'm sure it's nothing." But the alarm bells in my head were deafening. I tried to focus on the grill, but my eyes kept scanning the crowd for Jessica and her brother. The knot in my stomach grew tighter with each passing minute. Finally, it was time for the traditional family toast. I grabbed a beer and made my way to the center of the yard, plastering on my best fake smile. As I raised my bottle, I realized Jessica and Kyle were nowhere to be seen. A ripple of confusion passed through the gathered family members. "Where's Jessica?" Aunt Martha's shrill voice cut through the murmur. I cleared my throat. "Oh, you know Jess. Probably touching up her makeup or something. Let's get this toast going, shall we?" But as I clinked bottles with my relatives, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very, very wrong. The laughter and chatter around me faded into background noise as my mind raced with possibilities, each one worse than the last. I excused myself from the group, my feet carrying me towards the house almost of their own accord. The garage caught my eye, the perfect hiding spot for two people who didn't want to be found. My heart pounded as I approached, a mix of dread and anger fueling each step. The garage door creaked as I pushed it open, the sound seeming to echo in the stuffy air. The smell hit me first: gasoline, old cardboard, and something else. Something sharp and spicy that made my nose tingle. I squinted, letting my eyes adjust to the dim light. At first, I saw nothing out of the ordinary. Just stacks of boxes, old furniture, and the usual garage clutter. But then I heard it, muffled giggling and heavy breathing, coming from behind a tall stack of moving boxes. My mouth went dry as I inched closer, every fiber of my being screaming at me to turn back. But I couldn't. I had to know. As I neared the corner, my foot crunched on something. I looked down to see a bright red jalapeno, partly crushed under my shoe. What the hell? The sounds grew louder, and I steeled myself before peering around the corner. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. There was Jessica, bent over an old workbench, her sundress hiked up around her waist. And behind her, pants around his ankles, was Kyle. His face was contorted in a mix of pleasure and concentration that would be burned into my memory forever. I started recording it, but it was Jessica's voice that froze me in place. "Oh God, Kyle, it hurts so good. More, please. I love the pain. I love to get them before you put yourself in." That's when I saw it, the jar of jalapeños on the workbench and Kyle's hand reaching for another one. I watched in horrified fascination as he grabbed a pepper and put in her place where light doesn't come. I must have made a sound because suddenly both their heads whipped around to stare at me. Jessica's eyes went wide, a mix of shock and something else. Excitement flashing across her face. Kyle just looked like a deer in headlights, his hand still poised midair with the jalapeno. For a moment, we were all frozen in a tableau of depravity. Then, something in me snapped. A laugh bubbled up from my chest, harsh and mocking, echoing off the garage walls. "Well, well, well," I drawled, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Looks like the party's really heating up in here, huh?" Jessica scrambled to pull down her dress, her face flushed bright red. "Adam, it's not what it looks like." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really? Because it looks like you're getting your rocks off with your brother and a jar of jalapeños. Please enlighten me on what I'm misunderstanding here." Kyle finally seemed to snap out of his stupor, frantically pulling up his pants. "Adam, man, I can explain." "Save it," I snarled, cutting him off. "I don't want to hear a goddamn word out of your mouth, you sick duck." I turned my attention back to Jessica, who was still fumbling with her clothes. "You know what? I think everyone out there deserves to know exactly what kind of fun you two have been having." Without waiting for a response, I grabbed Jessica's arm and yanked her towards the door. She stumbled, protesting weakly, but I ignored her. Kyle trailed behind us, still trying to zip up his fly. As we burst out of the garage, the bright sunlight seemed to highlight every detail of their disheveled state. The party went silent as all eyes turned to us. I pushed Jessica forward, my voice booming across the yard. "Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready for a real treat. It seems our lovely hostess has been engaging in some extracurricular activities with her dear brother, who wants to guess what they were using jalapeños for. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Jessica's sobs were the only sound for a long moment before the whispers started. "Oh my God, is he serious? That's disgusting." I turned to Jessica, my voice low and dangerous. "I want you both off this property, now, and don't even think about taking the car. That's mine." Jessica reached for me, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Adam, please, let me explain." I jerked away from her touch, my lip curling in disgust. "Explain what, Jess? How you like it spicy? How you and your brother have been carrying on behind my back? Save your breath." Kyle finally found his voice. "Come on, man. It was just a bit of fun. No need to—" I cut him off with a glare that could have melted steel. "You don't get to speak. You don't get to do anything except get the duck out of here before I do something I might regret." I pointed towards Kyle's beat-up station wagon. "There's your ride. Use it." The siblings stumbled towards the car, the weight of judgmental stares from every direction bearing down on them. As they climbed in, I stood in the driveway watching. The engine sputtered to life, and they pulled away, taillights disappearing down the street. I woke up the next morning with a strange sense of clarity. The anger that had consumed me yesterday had crystallized into something colder, more focused. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Grabbing my phone, I uploaded the video I'd taken in the garage. My fingers flew across the screen as I posted it to every social media platform I could think of. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even ducking TikTok. Each post was accompanied by a caption that pulled no punches. My wife Jessica and her brother Kyle, caught in the act at our family BBQ. Sir, incest, shazer, disgusting. I hit send and watched as the notifications started rolling in. At first, it was just a trickle, a few shocked comments, some laughing emojis, but within an hour, it had turned into a flood. Holy shit, dude, I'm so sorry. What the actual duck? Is this for real? Jalapeños? That's a new level of kinky. I scrolled through the comments, a grim satisfaction settling in my chest. It felt good, watching the world react to Jessica's betrayal. By mid-afternoon, the video had gone viral. News outlets were picking it up, spinning it into some scandalous expose. Local event planner caught in incestuous act at family gathering. The headlines were everywhere. I couldn't help but smirk as I imagined Jessica's face when she saw them. This was more than just revenge. It was justice. I didn't waste any time. By Wednesday, I was sitting in my lawyer's office, discussing divorce proceedings. "You sure about this, Adam?" Dave, my lawyer and old college buddy, asked. "Once we file, there's no going back." I nodded, my jaw set. "I'm sure. Include everything in the filing. I want her to know exactly why this is happening." Dave whistled low. "All right, man, it's your call. I'll have the papers drawn up by tomorrow." True to his word, Jessica was served with the divorce papers the next day. I heard through the grapevine that she'd broken down completely when she got them. Part of me, a small, weak part, felt a twinge of something. Pity? Regret? I squashed it down. She'd made her bed, or garage floor in this case, and now she had to lie in it. The fallout was brutal and swift. Jessica lost her job almost immediately. Apparently, her boss had seen the video and decided she was too much of a liability to keep on. Her carefully curated social circle crumbled. Friends she'd known for years suddenly couldn't be reached. Her phone calls went straight to voicemail, her texts left on read. I watched it all unfold from a distance, feeling oddly detached. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, horrifying, but impossible to look away from. Then the messages started coming in. At first, it was just a few texts. "Adam, please, we need to talk." "I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking." "Can we please just meet up? I can explain everything." I ignored them all, but Jessica wasn't one to give up easily. The texts turned into emails, long rambling messages full of excuses and pleas for forgiveness. "Adam, I know what I did was unforgivable. I was in a bad place emotionally, and I acted out in the worst way possible. Kyle and I, It was a mistake. A horrible, disgusting mistake that I regret more than anything in my life. Please, can we just talk? I love you. I've always loved you. What happened with Kyle was a moment of weakness, but you're the one I want to be with. Forever. Give me another chance. I'll do anything to make this right. Jessica. I read each message with a mix of disgust and grim amusement. Did she really think I'd fall for this? That I'd welcome her back with open arms after what she'd done? The emails kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. When I still didn't respond, she resorted to leaving handwritten notes on my doorstep. I found the first one on a Sunday morning, the paper slightly damp from the morning dew. Adam, I know you're reading these. Please just talk to me. I'm falling apart without you. I've lost everything. My job, my friends, my family. You're all I have left. I'll do anything to fix this. Anything. Just tell me what you want me to do. I love you. I'm so sorry. Jessica. I picked up the note, my lip curling in disgust. For a moment, I considered tearing it up and tossing it in the trash. But then a better idea struck me. I went inside and found an empty drawer in my desk. I placed the note inside, smoothing it out carefully. This would be the first of many, I was sure. A collection of her desperation and regret. Trophies of my revenge. As the days passed, more notes appeared. Sometimes 2 or 3 a day. I collected each one, adding them to my growing pile in the drawer. It was oddly satisfying, watching the stack grow higher. One afternoon, as I was adding yet another tear-stained missive to the collection, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my sister, Sarah. Hey bro, you holding up okay? Saw Jessica outside your place again today? Want me to come over? I smiled, touched by her concern. My family had been my rock through all of this. They'd rallied around me, offering support and righteous anger on my behalf. It was nice to know I wasn't alone in this mess. I texted back, I'm good, thanks, just ignoring her. She'll get the message eventually. As I hit send, I heard a car pull up outside. Curious, I peeked out the window. It was Kyle's beat-up Camry. Jessica got out, clutching another envelope. She looked different. Her usually perfectly styled hair was a mess, her clothes rumpled. She walked up to my door with shaky steps, placed the envelope on the welcome mat, then hurried back to the car. I waited until they'd driven away before retrieving the envelope. Inside was another letter, but this one was different. It wasn't begging for forgiveness or making excuses. Instead, it was a notification that Jessica was checking herself into a rehab facility. Adam, I know you probably don't care, but I wanted you to know that I'm getting help. What happened? It made me realize how messed up I am. I'm checking into Sunnyview Rehab Center tomorrow. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. Not for you, but for myself. I'm sorry for everything. Jessica. I read the letter twice, unsure how to feel. Part of me wanted to crumple it up and toss it with the others, but another part, a small, quiet part, felt something close to relief. I shook my head, pushing the feeling away. It didn't matter if she was getting help. The damage was done. Our marriage, our life together, it was all over. No amount of therapy could fix what she'd broken. I never thought I'd be throwing a divorce party, but here I am, standing in my living room, surveying the decorations with a mixture of pride and dark amusement. The place looks like a twisted version of a wedding reception, with streamers and balloons in various shades of black and red. A banner hangs across the fireplace, proclaiming "Freedom at Last" in bold letters. As I adjust my tie, because why not dress up for my own divorce celebration? I hear a knock at the door. My best friend, Mike, walks in with his 6-pack of beer and a grin on his face. Holy shit, man, he laughs, taking in the scene. You really went all out, didn't you? I shrug, trying to keep a straight face. Go big or go home, right? Mike shakes his head, still chuckling. Only you could turn a divorce into a party. You sure you're okay with all this? Never been better, I reply, and I mean it. The weight that's been lifted off my shoulders is indescribable. Come on, help me with the food. The guests will be here soon. We head to the kitchen, where the real pièce de résistance awaits. On the counter sits a massive platter of jalapeno-themed appetizers. Jalapeno poppers, jalapeno sliders, even jalapeno margaritas. It's a sick joke, I know, but I can't help the twisted satisfaction I feel. Dude, Mike says, eyeing the spread. That's savage. I pick up a jalapeno, twirling it between my fingers. It's cathartic. As we're setting up, more guests start to arrive. My parents, my sisters, and their families, cousins, friends from work, everyone who stood by me through this nightmare. The only person missing is Jessica, and that's exactly how I want it. The party kicks into full swing, music blaring and laughter filling every corner of the house. I mingle, accepting hugs and words of support, feeling buoyed by the love surrounding me. As the night progresses, I decide it's time for a toast. I grab a jalapeno from the platter and climb onto a chair, tapping a glass for attention. The room falls silent, all eyes on me. First off, thanks for coming to celebrate my return to bachelorhood, I begin, eliciting a few chuckles. You've all been incredible through this. Let's call it an adventure. Who knew marriage could be so spicy? I hold up the jalapeno, and the room erupts in laughter. Seriously, though, I continue, my tone sobering slightly. I couldn't have made it through without you all. So here's to new beginnings, to honesty, and to never settling for less than we deserve. And maybe, I add with a smirk, to being a bit more careful about what we eat in other people's garages. The crowd roars with laughter as I bite into the jalapeno, the burn in my mouth nothing compared to the warmth in my chest. As I hop down from the chair, I'm engulfed in a group hug, the love and support of my friends and family washing over me. The party continues late into the night, a cathartic release of all the tension and pain of the past months. As the last guest leaves, I collapse onto my couch, exhausted but content. For the first time in a long while, I feel truly free. A few days later, I'm channel surfing when I stumble upon a trashy daytime talk show. My finger hovers over the remote, ready to change the channel, when a familiar face appears on the screen. Jessica. I sit up straighter, unable to look away. The studio lights are harsh, emphasizing the dark circles under her eyes and the tremor in her hands as she clutches a microphone. The host, a woman with an overly sympathetic expression, leans forward. So, Jessica, she begins, her voice dripping with false concern. Can you tell us what led to the incident? Jessica shifts uncomfortably in her seat. I don't know. It was a mistake. We were drunk and... The audience jeers, cutting her off. Someone shouts, "That's no excuse." I watch, mesmerized, as Jessica stumbles through explanations and excuses. The crowd grows increasingly hostile, shouting insults that make her flinch. Tears start to roll down her cheeks, smearing her makeup. "But it was just a one-time thing," she pleads, her voice cracking. "I never meant to hurt anyone." "What about your husband?" the host presses. "Did you think about how this would affect him?" Jessica breaks down completely at this point, sobbing into her hands. The camera pans to the audience, capturing their disgusted expressions. I switch off the TV, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Part of me feels vindicated, seeing Jessica face the consequences of her actions so publicly, but there's also a small, unexpected twinge of pity. I push it aside, reminding myself of all the pain she caused. The next day, my phone is buzzing non-stop with notifications. Clips from Jessica's appearance have flooded social media, reigniting the frenzy around our divorce. I settle on my couch with a beer, scrolling through the comments. She got what she deserved. Who does something like that with their own brother? Disgusting. Her poor ex-husband. Hope he's doing okay. As I read through the reactions, a sense of finality washes over me. The world has officially turned against Jessica, and for the first time since this whole ordeal began, I feel a genuine sense of closure. It's over. Really, truly over. With this realization comes a surge of energy. I look around the apartment, still littered with remnants from the divorce party, and make a decision. It's time for a fresh start. Over the next few weeks, I throw myself into rebuilding my life. I put our old house on the market, eager to shed every reminder of my life with Jessica. It sells quickly, and I find myself searching for a new place to call home. I eventually settle on a sleek, modern apartment in the heart of the city. As I unpack my boxes, arranging my belongings in this new space, I feel a sense of freedom I haven't experienced in years. With my new living situation sorted, I turn my attention to other aspects of my life. I sign up for a photography class, something I've always wanted to try, but never found the time for. I start planning trips to places I've dreamed of visiting, no longer constrained by Jessica's preferences or schedules. I even dip my toes back into the dating pool. It's tentative at first, a coffee here, a dinner there. I approach each interaction with a newfound clarity, unwilling to compromise on my values or ignore red flags. My sense of humor remains intact, but it's lighter now, unburdened by the weight of my failed marriage. As the months pass, I find myself genuinely happy. The Jalapeño incident, once a source of intense pain and humiliation, becomes a story I tell with a mix of disbelief and dark humor at parties. It's a reminder of the chaos I endured and the strength I found on the other side. One evening, as I'm editing some photos from my latest trip, I receive a text from a woman I've been seeing casually. She's smart, funny, and most importantly, completely honest. For the first time since my divorce, I feel a flutter of excitement about the possibility of a real relationship. Of a real relationship. Of a real relationship. Of a real relationship.